He is a very well-known Santoor player, student of the great Shivji, Shiv Kumar Sharma, and belonging to a very Khandani musical family. His father was C.R. Vyas, the great iconic vocalist, and Satish Ji and his elder brother Suhas Ji, he is a vocalist. So the whole family is involved in music, and he decided to take instrument instead of vocal music. I thought that was because you had too good a voice, is it?
So that question you can ask.
Yeah, right. So we invited him to give his views on Santoor as well as give us a recital of Santoor. His view was that he should play a short piece first so that the audience is acquainted with the sound and the technique of playing and so on. So without much ado, please start.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. And to be honest, keep performing many places, but to perform before such a, I don't know how to describe Pandit Arvind Parikh ji in every field, I would say. As a performer, as a musicologist, as a guru, and all that, his contribution is so humongous. In front of him, even to say few words is not going to be easy for me. I need his blessings for that, first of all, because that's very, very important. Because I am still considered myself student. हमें थोड़ा सा ही knowledge जो भी है, जितना हो सकता है उतना हम संतूर के बारे में बात करेंगे, बताएंगे. मेरे बारे में अगर कुछ होगा तो वो भी बताएंगे. So I thought I will first play for some time, 10-15 minutes, very beautiful rag Jinjoti for some time, and then maybe we can start. Thank you. Mukundraj Dev, of course you know everybody. No need of introduction, all of you know him.
Yeah. सतीश जी, आप राग के बारे में कुछ कहेंगे?
हाँ, ये राग झिंझोटी था जो खमाज थाट का है, एंड इट गिव्स श्रृंगार रस का राग है, और कभी भी इट इज़ एनी टाइम वन कैन प्ले. तो दैट इज़ वाई आई चोज, बिकॉज मैंने कहा आप इतनी बैठक होती है तो जनरली श्री मारवा या ये सब होते रहेंगे, तो मैंने कहा थोड़ा ये शाम का राग लेते हैं. आई थॉट पंडित जी कि आई विल tune to Marwa and then 3 rags like Marwa, Puriya and Sohani. ये संतूर में कैसे, but maybe some other time. It would have been a very interesting thing कि how compositions which my Guruji has taught, and how it within a fraction of second one can change the mood of the rag, and this is the advantage of this instrument also, because it is
changing notes and emphasis on notes.
Yes, yes. Yes.
नहीं, पहले तो ये कि ये संतूर जो नाम है वो कहाँ से आया, मतलब इंस्ट्रूमेंट कहाँ से आया, मतलब ये
Yeah, yeah. So let me go back. There have been a lot of research. There are a lot of foreigners who have done research years back. In 17th, 18th century, 19th century, and what I have gone through material is that there is always a name, though I will come later, name is not a problem, but basically the instrument origin is always a little bit of confusion among a lot of people, the learned people. But in any case, Santoor ye Persian word hai basically, and there has been instrument in Eastern Europe with different names. The France, they had dulcimer, something like that. In English and America, in England and America, there is what is known as hammered dulcimer. In Germany, there is an instrument called Hackbreth. These are all similar types, and this I believe has a lot of origin in Eastern Europe, because in Turkey and other European countries, there are many instruments of various shapes, I would say. So the earliest what is the research which we have found is there is a harp which is not played with strikers, but it is played with plectrum. But later on, as innovations took place or people changed their style, so later on this in Europe only the different forms of instruments took place depending on the style of music that country had. But coming back to Santoor, I will say, as my Guruji has told me, it belongs to the valley of Kashmir. Maybe this is an Indian shape of Santoor which must have adapted on the basis of some instrument which have travelled from Eastern Europe to Kashmir. That is what people say. So, and this is originally I would say how string instruments came into existence is also a theory, as my Guruji has mentioned this in many of his concerts, that in primitive age, somebody got an idea of an instrument based on a sound created when an arrow is released through the bow. It creates a peculiar sound. So on the basis of that sound, someone got an idea of to create an instrument, and which was named as Pinak ki Veena. Pinak in Sanskrit means bow. And later on, as human beings always like to develop whatever they discover or invent, like similarly there are many different instruments came into existence, string instruments, and they were named as different names were given, like Naradiya Veena, Kinnari Veena, Saraswati Veena. One of them was named as Shatatantri Veena because it had 100 strings. And of course, origin is found in Kashmir, in Valley of Kashmir, like Srinagar, and which used to be played in as an accompanying instrument in Sufiana Mosiki or Sufiana Kalam, which is and it was very prevalent. I remember when I had gone there in 70s and early 80s, I had seen people playing this Santoor as an accompanying instrument with Sufiana Mosiki. And this is a very unique, as I already told you, that similar instruments, which I said, cymbalum is another instrument which is found in Hungary and Romania in the Eastern Europe. And then there is a young queen or young chin in China. So these are all prototypes of these instruments. These are very, I can't say that they are Santoor, but they are similar kind of instruments. In fact, piano is one instrument which is one of the world's popular instrument, is also based on similar theory. When a musician presses the key, there are hammers inside which hit the strings and the tones are produced. So it's like that. And which is very unique, that unlike sitar or sarod, which are played with plectrum, this is played with these two wooden mallets actually. And that's how.
Would it be true to say that originally in India it was in Kashmir?
Yes.
That this instrument.
And I'm coming to that.
Yeah. Then I'm coming to that. Yeah.
How it is now today one of the most popular instruments.
Good, very good.
So let me talk about the structure of the instrument. Do you want to have some few ideas of the structure of instrument? Yeah. So this is made up of, generally a solid wood is there, which is out of teak or oak or walnut wood, and we prepare wooden mallets out of walnut wood only. These are some woods which are the side body, which is a solid body, is prepared by that. And then on the top and bottom, which is the soundboard, is prepared out of soft wood. So sometimes it could be plywood also. So this is my instrument which my Guruji got for me in 75-76. He had personally gone to the manufacturer, and it took, of course, 8 months because it was in the train for a lot of time. But he himself got, and I think I may be one of the person who is, because a lot of new people have taken different instruments and there are very good manufacturers. So this instrument, I have kept the original, I have not changed anything. So I'll come to that, how. So this is how the structure, and there are, as you can see, there are these spins on the left side, in which the string is tied, and on the tuning pegs, these are tuning pegs where the strings are, and there are these bridges which are made up of rosewood, one generally uses, and in olden times, which is very expensive, elephants, ivory. These, because this is saddled with this kind of on the bridge, so that the strings can pass on that. So we, little filing is done so that it fits into the thing. So this ivory, but those days have gone, because you say, but generally it is some kind of, substance which is put on this, like it is made up of bone, some animal bone, cattle bone or camel bone or like that. That is how they put that, and the strings are placed. So the original instrument which is in Kashmir had 25 bridges, and each bridge had 4 strings. So that's how it made 100 strings, 25 into 400 strings. And when Shivji came in 50s and 60s, he had kept the same instrument. But as he himself said that there was some kind of reluctance on particularly musicologist or musician's point of view, कि ये music शास्त्रीय संगीत के लिए कैसे होगा. So he then went back to Jammu and he did a lot of modifications. So he first tried to see, because he wanted to have wider range. So then he increased the bridges from 25 to 29. And in that 29 bridges, first he had 4 strings on each, but then he found the tone was not good. He was looking at that, how tone also should be so good to the ears of general public or anybody. So then he reduced to 2, but again he was unsatisfied. So then he finally settled on 3 strings. So when you see, there are 3 strings on each bridge, except for the 3 notes of the lower octave, sa, re, ga, he has used the guitar strings. So that's how, like, because 3 strings may not give the right sound, so he settled on this. So this is the original form which Shivji also played for many years, was 29 bridges with 84 strings. Because 29 bridges may, if you multiply by 3, it is 87, reduce 3 strings, because the 3 bass notes, only 2 strings were used. So that's how this instrument. So the he then developed lot of technique about how to play classical music on this, and it is well known. I need not even say, because his contribution, I don't think it is very unique contribution to the world of music by him single-handedly.
शिव जी की बात कर रहे
शिव
हैं
जी
आप?
की बात कर रहा हूँ, शिव जी की बात कर रहा हूँ, बिकॉज ही जान देना बोलते हैं ना इंस्ट्रूमेंट को, तो उन्होंने ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट में जान डाल दिया, और आज कई जगह लोग बजा रहे हैं, बट आई थिंक एवरीबडी हैज टू बी.
किसी ने कहा कि भगवान ने संतूर के लिए शिव जी को ही इंडिया में भेजा था.
इसमें कोई शक नहीं है. हम तो सिर्फ यहाँ वहाँ ढूंढते हैं, कुछ करते हैं, लेकिन he is God. He is really, real sense he is God. Means for Santoor you cannot think of anybody else.
A little technical question.
Yeah.
Is it correct to say that some people, some Santoor players, are creating andolan on strings?
Yeah.
Is it necessary on one side, and how do you do it?
देखिए ऐसा है. Again I will quote my Guruji only. He says कि many Santoor players or musicians or even the listeners, they will start comparing with sitar, sarod or other instruments, which itself I think is a wrong foundation. If you want to compare it with sitar, sarod or any other instrument, then why not play that instrument rather than playing this instrument? Because he was saying whatever one wants to do, should do with the technique which is available for that instrument. तो अभी कुछ करते हैं कि तुम्बा भी लगाते हैं नीचे, और फिर ट्यून करके उसको दबाते भी है. All these things they do, but अभी each musician is free to do what they want, But ultimately, public appeal is what I would say is the ultimate thing.
Small question. Every recital, you would agree, have two dimensions. One is the content,
Yeah.
and other is the expression.
Absolutely.
आप जो बात कर रहे हैं एक्सप्रेशन के लिए, कंटेंट के लिए कुछ बात करेंगे?
कंटेंट के लिए तो यही है कि वो जो इन्होंने राग के बारे में जैसे अभी बताया, जो मैं शायद बिहार सकता हूँ. अब ये जो हम लोग बोलते कि मीन है या जो भी है, कि अल्टीमेटली कोई भी एक नोट से दूसरे नोट में जाने में ब्रेक नहीं होना चाहिए. दैट इज कॉल्ड मीन. नाउ संतूर हैज इट्स ओन टेक्निक विच शिवजी हैज फाउंड दिस. तो दैट्स व्हाई ही इज ट्यूनिंग सिस्टम आल्सो दिस. ही आल्सो डेवलप दिस ट्यूनिंग सिस्टम ऑन द राइट साइड, बिकॉज जो भी राग बजाना है उसको राइट में ट्यून करो, तभी उसका भाव एक्सप्रेशन आलाप में एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं. दैट इज व्हाई ही हैज डेवलप्ड दिस टेक्निक. सो यू कैन सी देयर आर टू लाइन्स ऑफ ब्रिजेस ऑन बोथ साइड्स. एंड ऑल्सो ही समझिए एक शुद्ध सप्तक ले लिया हमने कि भाई सारे गाँव पदनी सा पूरा बिलावल थाट यहाँ लगा लिया है, लेकिन उसके जो कोमल सुर है वो लेफ्ट साइड पे लगते हैं. तो शिवजी हैज डन दिस what is known as chromatic. What is chromatic scale? Chromatic scale is you get all the 12 notes which he had already was doing when he was playing concerts. तो अभी ये फ्रेज को ये भी ऐसे बोल सकते हैं कि, लेकिन ये असर नहीं होगा इसका.
Is it very difficult to play? Because there I see that there are not too many Santoor players worthwhile.
It is difficult from many angles. क्या होता है अभी जैसे ये कभी होता नहीं, लेकिन आज एक गंधार का नोट, क्योंकि ताल कल टूट गई थी, मैंने नहीं डाली है, so it will take time to settle. Generally I am lucky that my always remains in tune, but आज गंधार तो का एक स्ट्रिंग थोड़ा तो बीच में मैंने इसलिए एक बार उठाया. तो क्या होता है कि म्यूजिशियन हैज़ टू बी फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सेंसिटिव फॉर सुर. क्या होता है बहुत सारे सीखने को आते हैं, और लेकिन 6 महीना 1 साल के बाद दिन दे रियलाइज यार उनको समझाते हैं मीन्स कि भाई कैसे ट्यूनिंग को करना है, तो उसके लिए गाना सुनना चाहिए, वोकल म्यूज़िक और सुर ज्ञान खुद को डेवलप करना चाहिए. वो ऐसे इट इज़ नॉट समथिंग विच वी कैन गाइड कि हाउ टू प्रोसीड, बट लेट देन दैट स्टूडेंट हैज़ टू टेक एफर्ट्स उसके लिए. तो उसके लिए अलग अलग म्यूज़िक सुनना चाहिए, अलग अलग वोकलिस्ट सुनने चाहिए, और रिलेशन करना चाहिए कि अभी हम तो डी में मिलाते हैं, सफ़ेद दो में. अभी सा लेके देन यू वन शुड बी एबल टू ट्यून ऑल द सप्तक by ear and not by Korg or some ये ऐप कि भाई हर सुर लगा लिया, वो नहीं ठीक है ना. जो ट्रेडिशनल है वैसे ही होना चाहिए कि बाय ईयर वन शुड बी एबल टू ट्यून, कि सा का रेफरेंस लगे फिर पूरा सप्तक लगाने आना चाहिए. एंड इट टेक्स लॉन्ग टाइम, इट्स अ एफर्ट. The one who I don't mind mentioning, Guruji had couple of Japanese students and all that. They are so fine with tuning and playing technique and all that. So they took efforts. Am I right? He's sitting there. बराबर है ना? I also have a couple of foreign students, and you'll be surprised. He has played with him, Jonathan Wyatt. He's very good in this, but he has taken efforts for that. So as you said rightly, it is definitely difficult. It is very easy to listen and enjoy, but when one starts taking lessons, then they realize the difficulty of this instrument. पहले तो लेके बैठना and then tuning करना, all that 6 महीना साल के बाद थक जाते हैं. तो उसको you need dedication to do that. And with today's life, पहाड़ी बात.
There's one question which he is written. Is there a gharana of Santoor, such as in Kashmir, Punjab, or anything like that?
देखिए ऐसा है कि घराना, वैसे अभी घराना जो है, बाकी लोगों का मैं बात नहीं करना चाहूँगा, लेकिन शिव जी के फादर तो बनारस घराने से थे. बट मैं प्राउडली आई से दैट what Santoor is prevalent maximum in the world is of Shiv Kumar Sharma Gharana. I call it Shiv Kumar Sharma Gharana. Absolutely. क्योंकि उन्होंने सच में ये, मैं उसी के लिए, मैं 13-14 साल का जब मैंने उनको पहली बार सुना, आप सोचिए अभी के 13 साल के बच्चे बहुत स्मार्ट है, हमसे 10-20 टाइम्स दे आर स्मार्टर. हम तो वैसे बुद्धू थे उसमें, ऐसे बोल सकते हैं. तो ये 66 की बात है, 1966. तो ही वॉज 29 ईयर ओल्ड एंड व्हेन द कर्टन ओपन इन वल्लभ संगीत विद्यालय, सायन में, वहाँ पे जब देखा कि एक एकदम वेरी वेरी एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी हैंडसम पर्सन सिटिंग विद सम इंस्ट्रूमेंट, एंड 2 hours what he played was just mesmerizing, and there were a lot of musicians sitting in front, and that experience I can't describe in words, absolutely. So he literally has, I think, given such great peace, solace to millions of people around the world that it's great work to be, हमारा तो ये 7 जिंदगी लगेगा वो कुछ करने में उसमें, to be honest. So anyway, so what was his question? Gharana. So I say this is Shiv Kumar Sharma Gharana.
Would you say that it is more rhythm based?
नहीं, rhythm based है because it is percussive, because it is played with 2, and that bass Shivji has developed, but उसमें भी राग संगीत वैसे ही बजता है. आलाप जोड़ झाला जो अलग इंस्ट्रूमेंट में बजता है वो हम लोग भी बजाते हैं. It is played and where melodic content is predominant. तबला शुरू होने के बाद फिर
नहीं, one for the, I mean, please do not think I'm arguing. बट कोमल रे, मारवा का कोमल रे गुजरी टोड़ी का अलग है, तो आप कैसे करेंगे?
उसी के लिए सा को लेके ही रेफरेंस लेके हम ट्यून करते हैं.
नहीं, टुडे सपोज यू आर प्लेइंग, I mean, I don't think I need to enter into a discussion.
Yeah.
But it is believed that alap is relatively lesser, and rhythmic part is more amenable to expansion.
Maybe ऐसे उसमें 2 टाइप के परफॉर्मेंस है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द लेंथ ऑफ द परफॉर्मेंस. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, वेयर यू परफॉर्म, इफ द लेंथ ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस इज इनफ, लाइक 1 hour, देन आलाप जोड़ झाला जिसमें पूरा वो प्रॉपर आलाप होता है, प्रॉपर जोड़ झाला, एंड देन व्हेन तबला स्टार्ट्स, देन ऑल्सो तबला जब शुरू होता है तो ये शिवजी ने ऐसा कुछ उसका मेलोडी और रिदम का जो संगम किया है वो कमाल का है. मैं आई डोंट माइंड, आई एम नॉट, मे बी विथ हेजिटेशन आई कैन से, आई नो लॉट ऑफ सितार प्लेयर्स lot of other instrument players have followed Shivji's laikari in their playing, and they have acknowledged to me कि हम तो थोड़ा उनको फॉलो करते हैं, क्योंकि उन्होंने जो काम किया है उसमें खाली लयकारी नहीं देखना चाहिए, उसमें किस तरह से वो वेरिएशन कर रहे हैं। कि कोई भी लयकारी शुरू करते हैं, ठीक है, लोग बोलते हैं कि वो झपताल चल रहा है, उसमें 3 ताल कर रहे हैं, रूपक कर रहे हैं 7 बीट का, दैट इज़ अ कैलकुलेशन टाइम। बट उसके साथ जो नोट्स या राग का जो डिपिक्शन होता है वो कहीं कम नहीं होता है। So that melodic content is always there. I won't say that everybody is able to achieve that, but he had achieved that in a very great heights. That is something which is unique.
I did not mean that there is no melodic content.
Yeah.
The melodic content है.
Yeah, but I agree.
Rhythm
rhythm part है, because it is obvious, because it is similar to what percussive instrument is, because we are playing.
अभी आपका मिजाज बिहाग बजाने का है तो बजाइए ना.
क्या करना है अभी? बिहाग चालू करूं या अभी थोड़ा बातचीत तो होना चाहिए? और अभी तो खाली संतूर का बात है.
I wanted only to request audience.
Yeah.
किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो This is the time to ask if anybody wants to ask.
And then to prepare.
नहीं संतूर बोलता है अगर कुछ आदमी कुछ बोलिए.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask कि आप शिवजी आपको जब तालीम करते थे, how did you start doing the तालीम? तो
ये बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है,
Yes.
बिकॉज दिस बैकग्राउंड इज सपोज टू बी नोट. क्या हुआ कि जब ये मैं जो कॉन्सर्ट की बात कर रहा था, व्हेन आई वेंट होम आई टोल्ड माय फादर कि मुझे संतूर सीखना है. बस आई सेड दैट. तब तक मैं घर में गाना तो चलता था, लेकिन आई नेवर टुक इंटरेस्ट. अभी गिवन दैट एज आई वॉज प्लेइंग आउटसाइड, यू नो, द क्रिकेट और लगोरी और वॉट एवर इज दोज पॉपुलर गेम्स. बट दैट डे was a turning point in my life. Given the age also, it was turning point. I became quite mad. I said, no, ये मेरे को ज़िंदगी में कुछ तो बजाना है, कब होगा तो पता नहीं. So my father looked at me for he took pause and they said, I am very happy that at least you have, you know, now you want to do something in classical music. That was a. फिर उन्होंने कहा कि अभी तुम, I was in 8th standard at that time. So he said, अभी, as you know, that time people, typical middle class families, they would not like their children to get into some kind of music, dance or something. Graduate होना चाहिए. That was, though my father was a musician, he himself was very keen. So he said कि देखो ऐसा करो, अभी तुम्हारी उम्र इतनी नहीं है, तो you do your academic qualification, graduate कम से कम होना चाहिए. You should at least become graduate, and then I will take you to start learning, sir. But in the meantime, घर में गाना है, so you start learning vocal, because vocal base will give you good foundation. You can learn any instrument, and that today when I think it was good. Not that I am a great expert, but whatever it is. So I still remember, this was very important, that then I did my graduation in science, then I did masters in science, then I started doing MBA. But in the meantime, when I gave my masters in science exam, I came home and I told my father, not only graduate, but I am going to be postgraduate also. So now you have to take me. He thought I have forgotten about Santoor. I said, no, you have to take. So in the meantime, what used to happen, I used to sit on Sundays with him for talim, for vocal music. Apart from that, he used to get a lot of students in the house. So we were staying in 2.5 rooms. So you can imagine, we were studying in gallery and he was teaching. So subconscious mind पे बहुत music, you know, what संस्कार जो बोलते हैं वो हो रहे थे, रागों की या सुरों की. all that. So that was. So then this was in 1975 that then he took me to Shivji. I remember, I feel very honored, blessed by him, that they both were traveling from Delhi to Bombay on a plane after they were performing in one festival, you know, on the same day. So next day they were. So my father told him in the plane that, so he said only कि आप जैसे कलाकार का अगर लड़का सीखना चाहता है तो I'll be very happy to accept him as disciple. Oh, sorry, I forget because it's a small room, no. So I hope it is. Earlier was audible, no? There was no problem, no. So what I was saying, that my father mentioned to him and he was very willing. So within a week's time he took me to Guruji's house at Pali Hill, and within few days I started. But he said first is we have to get Santoor, and that is why because he used to go to Jammu in holidays, you know. So he had gone after maybe almost 6 months of my meeting him. But then I started going to him just like that, sitting with him, and you know, not those days, not too many concerts, but he used to go in, you know, like he used to be in films, he and Hariji, both of them. So I used to be with them for many. That was another experience with them. And then after almost like 8 months, my Santoor arrived. And I remember, I used to work, I was in a corporate world that time. When I got a call from Baithak railway station, I still feel ki was so, you know, like happy that I told my boss ki I'm going, I have to go to Baithak station to collect my Santoor. And then I took, and then anyway, then I took to him, then he also helped me to, because it had to be set properly. There were some strings were broken, so all that he helped me. And then what he observed on the first couple of days, that he Shuddha Saptak लगा के जाता था, and it used to be always Sundays with him. So after a couple of Sundays, he said, "Ki, Satish, one thing I am really, I think, is less trouble because of your Surdan, I used to go with tuning of Shuddha Saptak. You know, the Santoor tuning was. So then he started. So paltas were the first, and the paltas were going on for maybe at least 2 years, I will say, before he started teaching me composition. So, but I was very, I would say, passionate about it. So I used to get up at 5 in the morning. 2 hours I used to do palta riyaz subah ke time mein. Like that, then started.
Just one, this thing in the palta riyaz, I believe he used to do with, you know, like different beat, 1 2 3 or 1 2 3 4, and you know that kind of.
That is later. See,
okay.
he used to, he told very simple equation कि हम लोग 1 2 3 4 4 बीट है, तो उसका बाद में 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, फिर उसका 3 में, तो दैट वाज लेटर ऑन ही टोल्ड अस कि कैसे करना है. बट शुरू में सारेगम पदनिसा, and then you start with particular tempo and then you make it double, and if possible again double, so whether चौगुन का तान निकल सकता है नहीं. So उसके लिए basically the starting tempo should be low, then only you can reach, otherwise it's very difficult. So like that, different paltas he used to give me, and next Sunday he says you have to be prepared when he, so I used to, then he used to give new things and all that. Like that 1 or 2 years happened, and then he started teaching rag. So I remember first rag what he taught was Hausadvani, and he started with Madhyalaya composition and then Drut composition, and then he came to Rupak or Japtal and all that later on. So like that, and then I was very lucky that I traveled with him also extensively in those years, you know, late 70s, 80s, 90s, or even up to mid 90s. And I think that I consider myself highly obliged, blessed, and words are inadequate, that to be associated with him almost like 24 hours. And I always say that not because he's my guru, but when I compare my father and guru, both were so similar that they are exceptional human beings, I would say. They are really exceptional human beings. In music में तो बहुत बड़े तो सब दुनिया जानती है. But as a human being, the interaction, so not that I got imbibed everything from him. I'm being very honest. But my learning with him has gone beyond music, I would say. Not that he's telling me something, but you have to observe your guru and learn something which is beyond music, I would say. That is what I think is the biggest contribution of him.
Thank you very much. I think पहाड़ी के बाद अब और कुछ मूड है सुनने
मुझे
का.
बिहाग में वो बताना है, क्योंकि वो जो
अब बताइए कौन आया है अभी, तो उसके लिए कुछ I think you have the wrong time frame, I guess. Anyway, thank you very much.
संतूर के बारे में और कुछ किसी को डाउट है, संतूर के बारे में थोड़ा कुछ मालूम करना है तो बताइए, नहीं तो मैं
that is what I'm asking.
Then I will tune to Bihag for some time, and I'll show how this technique of his phrases, because rag is not only notes, it is phrases which makes the rag, and how on Santoor he has developed that technique, which is very important.
My name is Dhanashyam Matre. I am disciple of Pandit Mukundraj Dev. My first question is, how do you treat Santoor with other string instrument?
In what way? In what way you want to compare? In terms of popularity, in terms of playing musically?
Playing also, technically also, and popularity also.
See, Santoor, as I have been explaining, it has its own style. And people, the history of other instruments like sitar, sarod goes back to maybe 300, 400, 500 years back. But Santoor has a history of only 60 to 70 years, I will say. And within that, this instrument, what it has achieved in terms of public appeal or the stature of solo instrument, I think is something which is commendable, I would say. Of course, single-handedly, I give credit to my Guruji. Of course, his disciples now are performing. But the monumental work which he has done is a history of only 65 years. You can say 7 decades at the most. So compared to other, and first of all, in playing, you should not compare. That's what I told. It's like talking, there are two great vocalists of Kirana Gharana and Gwalior Gharana. Abdul Karim Khan Sahab and Krishna Rao Shankar Pandit, both had different gaikis. No, technically only. Now, technically, these two gharanas, their singing style was totally different. Nandu is sitting, where is he? Am I talking right? Now, Gwalior Gharana has its own style of singing. Kirana Gharana has different style of singing. But you cannot say who is great and who is not great. Both are great in their own stature. Similarly, this instrument, with whatever has achieved, if you compare with other instruments, I will not hesitate to say, I am proud that Guruji has taken this instrument to such a level that for common man, Santoor is so attractive, and this is the biggest contribution of the instrument, is to convert non-classical music lovers to classical music lovers. I think I have no hesitation in saying that. Santoor has been mainly responsible for that. Technically, is a different matter. Technically, it's only for musicians or musicologists or really highly, critics or like that. But for common man, he goes by what the sound gives him, whether it touches his soul, his or her soul. And I think this instrument has done that magic. I will tell you one incident. पंडित जी, एक incident हुआ था जो बहुत important है narrate करने के लिए यहाँ पे. Osho ashram mein, this was in maybe mid-80s at the most. Yeah, I forget. I'm sorry. जहाँ मैं हमेशा मैं जाकिर भाई और शिव जी बहुत ट्रैवल करे साथ में, many concerts for maybe more than 10 years. So ओशो आश्रम में कॉन्सर्ट था, हम लोग सुबह चले गए. Those days we never used to go by car, unlike today there is a highway, but that time we had taken some train and we had gone to Pune station से ओशो आश्रम was very close. शाम को जब कॉन्सर्ट था तो I was always there to see the management of stage, mic and all that. So I did that and I went to Guruji and Zakir Bhai came and they sat in the green room for tuning. And then I said I'll just go get freshen up and come back, because it was there only in the premises. When I came back, I still remember it was I entered and I saw Guruji and Zakir Bhai sitting. Shivji looked at me like this, and he looking at me, he just, he gave a couple of 3 notes he played. So I raised my eyebrows because I could recognize he wanted to, because he was going to play jokons. And I was hearing that from Guruji for the first time, and I was really surprised, because jokons is creation of Gunidas ji, and that is why he showed that I am going to play this, because this is like my father's Gharana Rag. And I tell you, when he went onto the stage and with Zakir Bhai on Tabla, 1 hour 45 to 50 minutes at least he played jokons with full alap, jor jhala and compositions. After the concert, Shivji did not even wait to take clapping. He just lifted the Santoor strikers and he went inside. And I immediately sensed why he did that. So Zakir Bhai was looking at me, I was looking at him. And then I knew what had happened, because that rag, of course, is extraordinarily effective rag, and he was immersed in so much that he himself was in a different world at that time, and so the audience also. So after 2 minutes of silence, I took the mic and I said, "Good night, thank you very much. The concert is finished here." So that is the magic of this instrument. My point is that. So that hypnotizing effect which Santoor gives, not that every Santoor player can create that, but he at least was exceptional musician, that he could create that kind of an impact on a common man. the musician who was earlier maybe criticized by musicians, musicologists, he made them to agree that no, this instrument has, which he has been witness and everybody is witness. That's, I think, humongous work. That's a humongous work. So I don't think you should ask comparison. No two musicians are same. एक राग भी दो म्यूजिशियन से सुनेंगे या इंस्ट्रूमेंटली से सुनेंगे तो अलग अलग होगा, उनका इंटरप्रिटेशन अलग होगा. तो इट इज़ समथिंग विच इज़ इंडिविजुअल असेसमेंट, आई विल से एक्चुअली. बताइए. और
सेकंड क्वेश्चन, you said these 100 strings, right? So thickness of the strings are equal for all, or is there is a variation of the thickness?
The thickness is, yeah, because as the bass, the thickness of the steel string, or people use German strings also. So the thickness on the lower octave, it starts reducing and goes thinner as you go up, because the treble, that the higher notes are in the higher octave, is in the top. The body becomes narrow, that's why. It cannot have, otherwise the strings will break. That is why the shape is done like that. It's like that.
Last question.
Yeah.
You said that this instrument is very difficult to play.
Yeah.
It's true. And if you see the overall, in music industry, the Santoor players are not as, sorry to say that, but if you see the number of people in this field, is very less than other instruments.
Yeah, I agree.
So, so what would be the, maybe 10 or 15 or 20 years, the growth path of the Santoor, music as a Santoor in the world industry?
While I agree that there are, as of today, not too many Santoor players, but I will say that now, as I said in the beginning of this session, the history is only 6 to 7 decades, first of all, as compared to other instruments. So their history is longer. This history is smaller. Today, whatever Shivji's disciples, my Guruji's disciples are there, spread many places. Not that everybody is performing, but they are doing some good work. They are teaching, they are creating Santoor players. And in India also, I remember 5 years back there were hardly 3-4 Santoor players. Today I can show you there are at least 20 Santoor players playing in India, which I think is a significant growth. Quality is a question. That I don't want to say anything. But they are making an attempt to learn Santoor. And see, and so I don't think one has to worry about the future. Future will be good about Santoor, that's for sure. Yeah.
The last question.
Yeah.
The senior people like you and maybe government, is there any programs happening to increase or build up the popularity or essence of the Santoor in the industry?
See, I'll tell you, you are right. There are various people are trying. Now I remember there is one person in Singapore who has been after me for last more than 6 months. He wants to do a Santoor lessons on so I told him, let me think, because I am not so keen on doing online sessions, because I tried that. The problem is the student, if he has to tune, it is not singing. You can say, बाबा इधर तुम्हारा ये सुर ठीक नहीं लगा है. वहाँ इतना 100 strings में उसको बार बार बोलने से उसका 1 घंटा कब खत्म हो जाएगा पता ही नहीं चलेगा. So he's going to meet me in December 3rd week. He's coming from Singapore. So I said, you meet me, we'll devise the way. But there are people who are trying to do this. I have already done 2-3 sessions. Somebody from America contacted me, or somebody other countries. I have been doing from my side whatever I can do, I can talk about Santoor, I can show some demonstration and all that. I know he only played for one American, which went on for 1.5 hours. You remember we recorded at Thana, that recordings. I said I will not do at home, because home में वो sound नहीं आएगा. हम लोग iPad लेके बैठेंगे और करेंगे, वो नहीं है, उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है, उसमें कोई जान ही नहीं रहती है. So they hired a studio and they did everything in the studio. So that was a professionally done job. So there are, and the last but not least, the more the performances, the more the popularity will increase. Let's be honest about that.
But that is not happening, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's happening. Now you see most of the festivals, you generally will have one Santoor player at least. That is there, which is...
That is a typical people like you and other seniors.
I know that.
Not the newcomers.
नहीं अभी आएंगे, अभी हम भी तो न्यू कमर थे तो हमको भी चांस नहीं था, अभी आ गए थोड़ा सा, बराबर है ना?
थैंक यू, थैंक यू.
See, basically the bias of this instrument still some people have. I have no hesitation in saying they have this block, psychological block, which will go away when they, you see, people come in front of me or any other seasoned santoor player, they will be able to explain. So that's all. Yes. Anything? शार्प वाटतोय रे जास्त. हा खालचा साऊंड कमी आहे ना आता का? ठीक आहे. ऐकायला येते? So the tuning on the right side, why he developed this technique is to create this bhav, because each rag has some bhav and expression. So if it is tuned like a chromatic scale, what they call, like you start from C and all alternative notes, then you may not be able to have continuity in playing. So like this. तो ऋषभ का खाली लग सा प्यार है. these are my father's composition basically. ले जा रे पथिका वाले जा रे जा.
बहुत अच्छा, क्या बात है। अब कोई सवाल पूछने का रहा नहीं ना। हमने सबका मुंह बंद कर दिया आपने। आई हैव ऑल्सो नो मोर क्वेश्चंस, मेरा मुंह भी बंद कर दिया।
आपके सामने बात करना ही गलत है एक्चुअली, फिर भी कोशिश किया है और क्या है।
बहुत अच्छा बजा आपने, तबला भी बहुत संगत था।
बहुत बढ़िया तबला प्लेयर है, बहुत तबला वादक, और काफ़ी बिजी है आजकल के ज़माने में मुकुंदराज। मेरे साथ तो बहुत साल से।
I think everything good has to come to an end.
Yes,
So I think we should all thank him very much. तालियां बजाइए।